question was, what would be your superpower of choice and why?
See, I've thought about this way too much.
Okay. There's no too much for that one.
So it comes down to two different things. Either the first one, which is being able to go up to any musical instrument and play it at like a superior level.
Oh, screw music, I'm flying.
Are you actually?
Yeah, I don't want to do music anymore if I can fly.
Oh no, fuck
Sorry,
that.
carry on.
No, but I'm so scared of heights. Like my superpowers are pretty basic. They're not like
Well, you fixed your heights issue, you can fly.
Yeah, I suppose just fly to different countries at a really low level.
Well, I think it defeats the whole being scared of heights, does it not? You know.
Maybe. Or I'd just be shitting myself the whole time whilst I'm flying. Don't look down, just fly on my eyes.
Okay. Sorry, carry on, because that sounded quite useful and cool.
So just to be able to go up to any instrument and just like pick it up and be like, yeah, I can play this really, really well. Okay. Either that or being able to just speak every single language, like, and understand every single language. I think that'd be quite cool.
Like those, so very, we're getting meta. That's very communication based.
Yeah, I don't know if that counts as a superpower, but to like be able to understand like every language on the planet and speak it would be quite
cool. With enough confidence as a British person, you can just shout loudly enough and people just kind of get you, don't they? Like
that kind of sums us up, really, isn't it?
Like, yeah, we do well. Yeah, I think I'd rather be a bit more. I think mine would have to be something that isn't. It has to be something a bit like ridiculous, like flying or invisible. I don't ever want to be invisible. I don't know how useful that would be.
Yeah.
Because then all I'd end up doing is stealing stuff, and that's not very good. So
that is true.
So yeah, I think I'd go with flying. I just like the idea that you can kind of just, I don't know, you see birds flying around. That looks.
Or shape-shifting, that'd be quite cool. Like
that would be. Yeah. Again, I think I'd use my power. There are certain ones I just use them for bad, and that would probably be one of them. I'd turn into a big dinosaur or something, just go scaring everyone.
I think I'd just I'd use mine, for just complete laziness. So like, oh, Meg's not here. There's just a bed here, like, or like I'm at work and I just shapeshift into, I don't know, a chair.
I'm not being funny. I think if you can shapeshift, I don't think work is an issue.
Yeah, true.
Quite low down the list of
my superhero powers. Like, you can tell I would not be a supervillain. I wouldn't even be a superhero. I'd just be like, I'd continue being myself.
You're very modest with them, yeah. Like, I don't want to have too much of a superpower. Just like, no, mine would be probably. Mine would be that they could be a cause for good or evil if you know, in the right way. So.
Yours are proper ones.
Well, I think flying, I'm still just me. If I crash into something, I'm dead, like.
Yeah, true.
Maybe you should, I don't know if you can double up on these. Anyway, that was, so that was it gives you a feel for, so you're going to have to come up with a question at the end as well.
Okay.
So it can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be flying or, there's lots of food related ones to this point. That kind of, I don't know, I've been popcorn, coffee, pizza. I'm sure I've had something else. But what I found, kind of one of the, getting more into the, I guess, musical side of things, is I'm always interested in sort of writing lyrics and those kind of ideas, because obviously it's a bit of a sort of like window to the soul, or it can be, depends what lyrics you write, but it's kind of something that I always find interesting, because I think regardless of how the lyrics are presented, it's always interesting to hear people's perspectives on lyrics, because it like I say again, depends on how profound the lyrics are. But I'm interested into your writing process. Like what do you kind of do to come out with ideas and concepts? Are they things that you think about when you're like walking down the street and you suddenly think, oh, that'd be a good idea? Or do you sit there, pen and paper or laptop, whatever, and sort of think these things through? How do the kind of not the words themselves, but how do the concepts come about?
Definitely from like real life experiences. I've never been one of these writers that can write things conceptually, or like, I don't know, it's like creating almost like imagery within their lyrics. Like, it's very much, I don't like this person, so I'm going to write a song about them being a prick. Like I can't I probably could, but I don't like or don't attempt to write things that are sort of very, I don't know, image based and trying to create, I don't know, some sort of concept. So it's definitely for me an experience, and like I'll have a rough idea of things that I want to talk about, but I won't know where to start, and then suddenly it'll just hit me and I'll be like, right, I got to write that down. So my notes on my phone is just like full of just like tiny little, like, I don't know, sentences of just stupid things that make sense to me but would not make sense to anybody else if they read them. And or I'll just like write it down, pen and paper. And yeah, it kind of just comes from random ideas suddenly, and then I'll write them down. I'll take them to Jay, who's our guitarist, and just be like, I want to do a song that's based on this. And like, usually I'll try and come up with a hook with a vocal, and then I'll shout it at him and he'll be like, okay, yeah, I can hear what we can do with that. So it's a bit of a chicken and an egg. Like, it'll either be Jay comes up with a riff and I feel something from it and create lyrics that way, or I'll come up with a lyric and he'll put guitar to it. So, but it's never really like, let's sit down and write a song. I find that really hard. I can't
It's
just
tricky,
I can't just sit down and be like, I'm going to write a song today, because it just won't happen. It always has to be last minute, spur of the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of I've been trying to force myself into writing more regularly, like as in not regularly, but actually when I'm not in the mood, just trying to sit down and get
It's
something.
hard though, isn't
It is
it?
really difficult. Yeah, I find I have to be quite, like, when I'm not in the mood, I have to be quite methodical. I have to, so I play guitar mainly, and then
Yes.
I do a lot of lyric stuff as well with the band, and I find like I have to, if I'm not inspired, I have to say, okay, I'm going to use these selection of notes or this rhythm or like this technique.
Yeah.
Like I have to say, it's through restriction, right? You know, it's through like stopping. Do you have any sort of techniques, or does it come more freely than that when you're sort of in the right mood for it?
When I'm in the right mood for it, it's literally like just vomit. It just comes out.
Yeah.
But that's the struggle, I think, is there's no in between for me. It's like either we sit in the studio for like 3 hours and we're just like, don't know what we're doing, like just looking at memes and not doing much else, or it's just yeah, or it's just coming out constantly and it's great. But yeah, we have to kind of like really be in the right place for that to happen, which at the moment is a right pain in the ass, because we're supposed to be writing a second album, which we are, but it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and how's that kind of how's that process been with because they say, you know, you got forever to write your first album and then
Yes,
a year or something to write your next one. How's
oh God.
feeling the pressure?
Yeah. I'd be a liar if I said no.
Yeah, get off the call, get on with it.
Yeah. We like, the thing is though, is like, it's one of those things where we just have to do it. Like, we can think about it and put it off for ages and be worried that it's not going to be good enough, but we just have to get on with it and kind of face it. So it's a bit of an odd one. We planned it all. We all met up and kind of had like a meeting about what we want it to be like, what we want it to sound like, all the tracks we had ideas for, and kind of like storyboarded out the album. And yeah, that was going quite well. And then a couple of weeks ago, we were just like, yeah, we don't like any of this. We're scrapping all of it and starting again.
Nice.
So we've literally dumped everything that we did and we've started again. But it feels better because what we were doing before was very like emotional based, and I don't think I'm ready to do that yet. I'm going to put that on the back burner and face that at a time when I feel like I can. So for now, we're just getting more things off our chest that we didn't get off our chests in the first album.
Yeah. When you say emotional based, do you mean in terms of how you're, specifically with lyrics, or more just like the songs as a whole? What's the kind of
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to delve into anything you don't want to sort of
No, it's cool. So yeah, it's more like lyrically, I guess, and like vibe wise, I suppose. The last sort of 6-8 months of my life have been really, really shit, and I started writing lyrics about it, and kind of realized when we were like, right, okay, let's write an album about it, that I wasn't ready to talk about it. Like I couldn't face it yet. And so to write songs about something that I haven't even fully processed yet and I'm still going through, it was like, nah, this is too raw. It's going to have to be album 3. So album 2 will have to be a heavy, angry album again. And then album 3, we'll try and delve into the more emotional stuff.
Yeah. It's so the yeah, because I mean, obviously, I don't want to kind of delve too much into that side of things, but I think what is interesting is how, so do you find that the kind of the lyric writing process, do you find that is, what's the kind of word? Like, do you find that brings out certain, do you find that reveals things about yourself almost that you didn't know? I feel like I'm sort of trying to push you into answers like, yes, it does. But that's always what the questions end up being. I'm more saying, it's more my way of saying what I suspect to be the case.
No, it's all good. I think it's, what it is that it's stuff I already know, but I don't want to talk about. Because like, you'll know when you release a song, people are like, well, what's it about? And what are the lyrics about? And how did you feel when you were writing this? And I'm not ready to talk about those reasons. Like, I don't want to talk about my granddad passing away with press people yet. Like, it's just not something I want to do. And to have that album would be great in the sense that I can kind of talk out my problems through lyrics and get my emotions out. But then when you have people criticizing it and ripping you apart when you're not quite ready for that yet, we were like, okay, let's just put that on the back burner. We'll come back to that and just keep doing what we're doing with our angry stuff.
Yeah. Do you so because another question I had about the I did my research for today. And the good thing is there's lots of I found lots of interviews with you, which is really cool, because there's some people where I look, I type in the name and like the Instagram comes up, I'm like, fuck, I haven't got anything. So I've got to use my imagination, which is terrible.
Bless you.
But no, so what I found interesting is you talked about culling culture, the idea of sort of removing people from your life. Am I right? The rough kind of, yeah. So is that something that you find? Do you find that process kind of particularly liberating, or is it just plain difficult? Or and then how did that kind of go on to inspire some of the lyrics in that?
Oh, it was definitely liberating. Like my whole life up until sort of culling culture era, I was such a pushover. And I mean, up to a certain extent now, I still have those traits. I do let people take advantage and walk all over me, and I don't know why.
Rubbish superpowers.
Yeah. This is what I mean. Like, I'm not like, oh, I just
they weren't
like
rubbish. Sorry, I'm just taking.
No, but it's
cool.
true. I'm not like, oh, I just go burn my enemies with laser beams out my eyes. I'm like, oh, I'll turn into a bed. Like, I'm just so like a pushover at times. And yeah, for me, it was like it sounds stupid, but it was a real revelation when it was like, I don't actually have to be friends with these people. Like, I don't actually have to have people in my life that treat me like shit. I can tell them to fuck off. And when I realized that I could actually do that, and that didn't make me a bad person, it just meant I was looking after myself. It was just like insane. So I finally, I wasn't going around like punching people in the face and being an asshole, but I was just like, you know what, this friendship is over. I don't deserve to be treated like this, and I'm done. And then I wrote a song about it, and it was kind of like therapy. It was really good. It was great. It was me choosing to not be treated like shit anymore, and it was really cathartic. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to sort of pick the right people in life, because it really shapes how we all know what a day with one person is like versus a day with another person.
Yes.
It's a difficult thing to do, I think, is like finding the right people to be around, because it's what, whenever you hear anyone talking about success, it's always these kind of business types, which I sometimes envy a little, not envy, I sometimes find a little bit annoying, but they always say to cut the wrong people out, and make sure that you kind of surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I can kind of what's the word, sort of sympathize with that, because it's not
Yeah.
an easy. The other thing is, it's not an easy thing to do either, because
No.
we'd all do it if it was.
Yeah,
So,
it's not easy at all. And what you realize, I think, when you do it is how small your circle actually is. Like I have the boys as my friends and one other friend, and that's it. Like, and it's great because I trust them all with my life, and I know that I'm never gonna, get fucked over by any of those people. But it does make you realize you allow so many people to come into your life and dictate what you think and do and say. And we all just kind of, especially as like kids and teenagers, we kind of allow it to happen. But when you kind of get to adulthood, you don't need to put up with that shit anymore. Like, you're not in school, you're not in college, like you can just tell people to fuck off.
yeah, that's I think that's if anything, you can cut it short here and just be like, that's a good like summary of life lesson learned. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll suddenly see your box disappear from it. I'll be like, oh great,
Yeah.
well, I guess that was my
Mic
time.
drop.
Yeah. Like, was the process of you talking about it being a bit of a sort of revelation, I guess? Is this sort of part? If I ever ask any questions that you think like, I don't want to talk about that, it's totally fine.
Okay.
I think it's
cool.
just I like to sort of ask about the things that shape people's lives, because I think that's what gives the most value to other people.
Yeah.
Listening.
Yeah.
When you kind of cutting people out in that way, and it makes it sound really harsh, just fucking dropping people out. But like, was it something that happened quite immediately? You were like, I know these people. It sounds a bit almost mathematical. I know these people have got to go. But was it something that was quite instinctive that happened straight away, or was it a process that took you time to kind of figure out along the way?
Definitely a process. Yeah. It wasn't like I woke up one day and I was like, right, you're all gone.
Yeah.
Like each song obviously is about a different person, and those experiences like spanned across several years. So it was kind of me realizing I didn't have to have these people in my life. I keep saying lives. I'm like, I'm multiple people.
You have got
My
a
life.
superpower.
And yeah, so it was me realizing that, and then kind of approaching the situation differently for each person. I mean, for example, like Hideous was about someone who I did immediately cut out. I was like, these weren't people that were just like a bit annoying. These were people who did some serious damage to my family and me. And I was like, nope, you're gone. Like, bye. That tie is completely severed. But then there's like other things that are a bit more complicated, family issues, things like that, where things have to be taken a bit slower and a bit more emotionally, I don't know, cautious, I suppose. So yeah, each event, I suppose, happened over different periods of time and with different approaches. But I think you can kind of hear that with the songs. They're not all just like cutthroat. There are a couple in there that are a bit lighter and easier to listen to. So in a way, I suppose that kind of shows the approach for each person.
Yeah, I suppose the other thing is if they all got cut out in the same way, you'd end up with just the same song and then just paste a different name in each in each chorus, just like fuck you, exactly. Blank, and then be like on that happy birthday. You've seen that happy birthday YouTube thing where they have like every name under the sun, different videos.
I haven't seen that. That sounds good.
You just end up with that with a different name in each one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sorry, that completely devalues the importance of what you were just saying. I did take that in, I promise.
No, it's all good.
But how so? What do you think? Do you feel like you've sort of? How do you feel like you've sort of developed since sort of going through that process? How do you feel? Do you feel that you're sort of different now from that, or?
Yeah, definitely. Like, to start with, it does feel like shit because you go from being surrounded by people, even though they're toxic, to just being not alone, but a significant amount of less people in your life. And you can have moments where you're like, oh fuck, maybe I should just kind of be friends with this person because then I can go out and I can do this. And it's like, no, they're not bringing you anything positive. Just keep within your circle. And yeah, so for a while it was a bit like daunting because you do get used to being treated like shit by people. and you do get used to what's familiar. But after a while, when I realized actually I don't need these people in my life, self-esteem did definitely go up, and I was free to do things that I couldn't do before. And now I'm like, oh my God, why did I not get rid of them sooner? Like, I feel so much more confident. I feel so much more happy. I don't have to apologize for anything anymore. I can just be myself. And yeah, it's definitely been a journey. It's not just sort of like the second I let go of these people, I was really happy. It's been sort of a journey of self-discovery, as cringe as that sounds.
That's why it sounds cringy because a lot of people go through it, but it's cool that we have that people can share that experience in very different ways. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't call it cringy.
Well, it's a process, isn't it? Like, it would be nice to say, yeah, I cut them out and then it was all rainbows and butterflies. But the reality is, when you cut people out of your life, you feel like shit for doing it. But after a while, you realize that it was the best possible thing you can do for yourself. And, you know, being selfish isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's the best thing you can do.
I don't think there's anything selfish about just doing what you need to do. Yeah, I think there are times when it can be where, if you've promised something, or if someone rightfully has certain expectations of you, if they're dependent on you in a good way, and then you sort of just drop them, that's there are those responsibilities. But I think if it's purely a case of things like friendships, and it can be even family. I think if there's no dependency in that sense, then sometimes I wouldn't call it selfish just to do what you need to do, because I think funnily enough, if we all acted that way, ironically, we'd have the room to grow as people and all be nicer to each other anyway. So
yeah, definitely.
Look at us figuring things out. I think that's really cool that you've put the idea of having a song per person. Is it as definite as that? Like, this is this person kind of thing? With literally one song? Because that's quite a cool concept for a... It's quite a cool concept. It's not like a concept album in the sort of Dream Theater sense, but like, I don't know if they... I'm sure they've done that.
I'm sure, probably.
Do you have any plans for, without spoiling future releases, do you want a bit of a freer approach in the next album, where it's just like, this song's about this is about this whole other thing? Or have you got more concepts in mind?
I think it will be freer, album 2. Like, I had so much to get off my chest in Culling Culture, and that's why we kind of dedicated a song to each experience, because instead of spanning these experiences over several songs, it was just like, right, you get a song to kind of get the shit off your chest and then let it go. And now it's kind of like, right, I'm free to let go of all that bullshit and just write about different things. And it's exciting because I don't feel as tied down now. Like, I love Culling Culture so much, but there is a part of all of us that are just like, we're sick of reliving these experiences and these songs over and over again. We want to talk about other stuff now, and not necessarily people, just experiences and life. So yeah, I think the next album will definitely be less kind of, not conceptual, but less restricted, for sure.
Yeah, because you've kind of raised one thing that came to mind when you were talking about that, was that is it difficult to sort of move past these things, obviously, when they're in the song, does that, because obviously there's a bit of a weird sort of dichotomy where you're moving past it by writing about it, but then obviously by writing about it, it's there forever in the song. Is that something that, or do you get to the end of the album and go, shit, I've just written about all of these horrible things? Right. Do you find it, does it ever sort of weigh on you when you are singing these songs, or do you find that it is just sort of a good release from all of it?
It depends on the song. Like, some of them, it's very much dead and buried, and I just enjoy the song for what it is. Other songs I find quite emotionally full on, and I'm like, I don't want to keep singing this for the rest of my life. But that is the choice you make when you write those songs, especially if they get released as a single, or if people for some reason really like them, you're going to be stuck with them for the rest of your life. So I'm sure at some point those feelings will wear off, but like there are definitely a couple where I'm like, oh, why did you have to write that, for fuck's sake?
Well, we for our first, so we've only put out an EP so far, and we're just writing some more stuff at the moment. And
yeah,
there was a concept that actually our producer kind of suggested based on the lyrics we'd had for the 6 songs, and I think we were talking about, oh, do we maybe add to this and turn it into like an album or something? And I think we all kind of agreed, like, no, we love the concept, but we're done with the concept now. Like,
yes, yeah,
it's cool to do.
Yeah,
but
it's so easy to get trapped in those kind of boxes, isn't it? Like you see a lot of bands doing it because it's so easy to do. Like when you've built yourself kind of like, well, this is what we do. This is the song we write. This is the theme. This is the image. You kind of, it's easier to write songs, but then you get trapped in it. So yeah, I think that was probably a really good decision to have made.
Yeah, I think, and the other thing is you could always sort of go, well, maybe we could tie it in. And you have to go, no.
Yeah,
so you're gonna write about other stuff.
Leave it there. Yeah.
It's interesting. So you say that lyrically you go for a more direct kind of approach in, I'm guessing, a more kind of more literal way of saying things.
Yeah.
Is there any reason that you particularly like being direct in that way over a more kind of ambiguous sort of lyrical direction?
I think when I was in older bands, like growing up, I tried really hard to kind of fit into a mold that I didn't enjoy. Like I was in a few proggy bands, and it was kind of like the fashion to write very like particular styles of lyrics. I mean, like if you look at bands like Tesseract, every other prog band in existence has gone out of my brain, but you know, that kind of like Periphery, Tesseract, that kind of thing, it's very kind of like image based, and I don't know how to describe it, which is awful because I should be able to
I know what you're
as
saying,
a vocalist, which is, it's really beautiful, and like it can create images in your mind and music videos, and it like can inspire you, but like I found it really hard to relate to that. I don't like kind of describing things. I'd rather just say this is what happened and this is how I felt, and I've always been really blunt and to the point. Even as a kid, I often would get in trouble for just saying things I shouldn't say. Like I need to learn to keep my mouth shut sometimes. But yeah, I think because I was in those bands and it was kind of fashionable to write those sort of lyrics, and I did for a long time, and then I was like singing these songs and writing these lyrics that I really hated and didn't like, because I was kind of being forced to do it. It kind of made me, when we started Vexed, just go the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and I was like, oh, I'm free and I'm going to write exactly how I want to write now, which was really cool, but also a bit scary, because it was like, well, again, kind of like that, when you're used to doing something, you kind of restrict yourself and only stay within that box. Whereas now I was like, I'm free to do what I want. So I just sort of verbal vomited everywhere.
Yeah, I find the so interestingly, we have quite opposing ways of going. I can't even start talking about lyrics and I can't talk.
I'm the same. Don't worry.
Yeah, words, but yeah, yeah, because I really enjoy the kind of the more ambiguous stuff. You know, the stuff where you hear that word, you're like, I don't quite know what that means.
Yes.
Because not for the sake of just going on thesaurus.com and finding the word. I quite like sort of sometimes I feel like certain words just bring about the amount of times I've been writing something and a word comes up and I hear that and I'm like, I know what that word kind of, I know what it sort of delivers, but I don't actually know what it means. And 9 times out of 10, it kind of means something along the lines of what I thought, because how they have that sound to them sometimes.
Yes, and it creates a feeling and an image.
Yeah.
And I really do appreciate those kind of lyrics because, and those, you know, writers, because you're creating like a feeling within the lyrics and almost like a texture to, like an added texture to the sound. And an imagery. It is really admirable. But I think because I was
haven't showed you a single lyric yet.
No, it is because you're almost like setting yourself a really, really difficult job straight away, which is I need to create a scenario where people can see and visualize what I'm saying in a way that they can adapt it to their experiences. Whereas with my lyrics, it's just like, I don't like this person, you're a prick. And people might not be able to relate to that, you know? Whereas the other style of lyrics, I think it's, you know, it's a real challenge because people are going to be able to relate to it in their own way. So yeah, it's they're both like, I know they're polar opposite ways of writing, but they're both beautiful in their own kind of way.
Yeah, there's something about just direct that's, you know, you kind of like, you do risk, I mean, a big part of writing is about connecting with people, and the less direct you are, the more you risk kind of not really connecting with people.
Exactly, yeah.
So there is an element where you can get, and yeah, you do hear it in some prog bands where you hear some lyrics and you're like, I know what you've said, but
but what does it mean?
It's the same. It applies to everything, though, right? Like when I'm writing guitar parts, I could write a part that I find fun to play, but that doesn't mean it might not sound bad, but it doesn't mean it will hook people in. And annoyingly, like I think the best riffs or chord progressions and things I've written have all been the ones where I kind of go, it's not hard to play, really. It might be a bit awkward, but it's not like, you know, and then I write every now and again, I'll get into kind of full on concentration mode and write this really complicated riff and realise that I only needed like the first three seconds of it. and then with a load of bump afterwards, and it would have worked.
Oh, bless you. Isn't it like the worst thing though, when you have to write something and, like, for example, Jay will write something that's really, really complicated and he's like, I'm really proud of this riff. I really want to write something with it. And I'm like, Jay, I'm really sorry, but I really don't like it. And like, do you ever have that like in your band and you're like, I want to kill you? It's like, it's so proud of it and nobody else jams it.
I think we're generally pretty like, so like normally what happens is the songs will start from a riff.
Yeah.
Normally the way I normally do it is I will write a riff, and then once I've got that, everything happens outwards from that. Weirdly, things like chorus progressions tend to come last. Because,
really?
Yeah, because like I find that they can be so. I find choruses can be so non-specific. Like if you're playing just chords, not that that's. They don't have to be like boring chords, but
no.
There are so many things that can go over the top of.
Yeah, that's true.
A chord progression.
Yeah.
So I find that if I've got a riff, that to me, and it doesn't have to be a riff, but if I've got like a distinct melody in a riff, in like a little guitar thing, whatever it is, then I can simplify from there and and go to a chord progression. But like, to answer your question, that as a band, like there've been stuff. I don't think. If I've had an idea, one of those ones where it's like, this is the beginning idea, I don't think I've showed one of them to the band yet where they've been like, I don't really like that. But there have been parts in the songs where so then one of those offshoots, I've gone, what about this part? And they've gone, I don't think that quite, so it doesn't tend to be, because normally I'm a bit of a, like, not all or nothing, but once I've got a riff, and it normally is a riff because I'm just ham-fisted, like once I've got that, I can hear. It's not that I can hear all the other parts, but I know I can almost tick the box and go, "That's a song," because I know that if the riff has enough interest, I know I can make stuff out of it. And so normally when I write that, it's relatively really good compared to all the other bits that might go in the song that might be relevant, like useful, but not as like interesting, as engaging. So we haven't really had much of that. We do obviously we have disagreements about like what will and won't work, but Yeah, weirdly, we kind of sounds a little more peaceful than you guys. No, don't worry, it's not peace. It's not a peaceful experience
Oh
by any means. So
no, we're proper chill. Like
yeah, yeah,
for example, the song Purity on our album, I said to Jay when we first wrote it, I really don't like this, but I will write a song for it because
mm,
I know you really love it. And like, yeah, so that whole song, um, I went into going, I don't like this. I
mm,
just don't like the way the guitar sounds. I don't like any of it. But I know you're really proud of it, so let's write a song. So like we're not we never argue, we never fall out. Like it's always let's compromise and meet in the middle, unless it's something that's really important. And then I'll be like, okay, we'll write a song to it.
yeah.
But yeah, it's
The other thing is, I always kind of I tend to persevere through, and I'm quite stubborn. Where if I have an idea, and if someone in the band isn't that keen on it, I'll be like, no, it is good though, and then I'll play it enough, and eventually, normally what happens, eventually they go, oh, actually, I do quite like that, and either they've decided to agree with me, or they've just heard it so much that it's just like they're kind of like, oh, I guess that's it.
yeah.
Whatever reason it normally ends up being used, but I think the thing is I'm quite harsh with my own writing process, so it doesn't, and that everyone says that about themselves, don't they?
Yeah.
But like I don't. There's my output's quite low probably compared to a lot of guitar players. Which I probably need to change. I need to start just putting stuff out and going, oh mate, because you never know. Sometimes that one thing you didn't think was any good is like.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of a good approach to kind of be, you know what, I'm not going to put anything out until I'm proud of this and I like it. Like,
oh, sorry, when I say put it, I mean like present it to other people. Sorry, like.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't just put out music. It's like, here you go. Like, yeah. No, I think so. Yeah.
Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, yeah. I do. It's like a lot of there are quite a lot of bands where they brought out songs like not long after the pandemic happened. Or sort of started happening that were all pandemic related. Annoyingly, I really quite like that Parasite Eve by Bring Me.
It's such a good song.
It's a really good song, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, and you kind of can't, but you can't help but feel like it's a little bit commercialized, not in the sense that it's like I don't care if bands write poppy songs. In the sense that they feel like they've just jumped on an opportunity to write a song, which I found a little bit contrived and a little bit yeah, just to me, like you write a song because it means something to you, not because
it's trending.
3 months ago. It's like all these kind of people writing songs that they want to trend on TikTok, and it's like, I don't see that as very musical, really. You know,
no.
Find it quite frustrating. But speaking of all that stuff, because speaking of writing, anyway, a big part of not just lyrics, but actually just being a musician, I think particularly probably in a metal band, is kind of not ignoring opinions, but ignoring the wrong opinions about what you've put out there. How have you kind of gone about it? Maybe you haven't at all, I don't know. But what's the process been like of dealing with the sort of the opinions that you get towards your music? Because so you've got an album out, and then do you have an EP before that, or a couple?
We had a couple of singles before that.
Yeah. So I'm guessing more opinions of the album. Then I'm guessing, was that a bit of a do you get a lot of kind of mixed comments when have you gone on the YouTube comments? Do you see?
Oh my god, yeah, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific.
Yeah, I mean YouTube comments are just a cesspool of you guys.
Oh yeah, it's just pure vermin in the comments. But it's interesting. When we first started and we just dropped the couple of singles, it really hit me hard, and I was like, why do I even fucking bother? Like, you spend all this money, all this time, all this effort, and all this love putting your heart on the line, and then people just shit all over it. And I was like, why do I fucking bother? But then the boys kind of just like sat me down and were like, why do you care? Like, why do you care what these people think? And again, it was like around the time where I had that revelation where I was like, I don't need to be friends with these people. It was like, I don't actually need to care about what people think of me. And it just kind of created this, I don't know, domino effect of sorting my shit out with myself. And I did just stop caring. And now when we release songs and like with the album campaign, the amount of hate we got, we got a fair bit, like any band does, but we don't focus on it. We just look at the positives. But if we're having a day where we're like, reading comments and something gets to us, we just go stalk the person's social medias and take the piss out of them in our chat.
There you go.
Yeah, in our WhatsApp group. And we also, love reading hate comments. Like, we've started making reaction videos to it because we just think it's funny to laugh at ourselves,
so you almost jump on board with them a little bit and go speak
yeah like you've got to be able to laugh at yourself and have a thick skin, because these people are just giving their opinions. It doesn't mean it's fact, and it's quite funny sometimes. But also, we're on a label, Napalm, amazing label, lovely human beings, but we are also on a roster surrounded by Viking metal and power metal, and their fans are not going to appreciate a bunch of chavs popping up on their subs. Like, they're just not having it. And so we are like probably the most controversial, I wouldn't say the most, we're a controversial band in a roster that's full of fans of like Viking metal and Iron Maiden lovers, so we know that when we release a song, it's going to piss a lot of people off. So maybe if we were on a different label with bands that were similar to us, the comment section would be different. But it's just something that we have to deal with, and honestly find it really funny now. Really funny.
What's your favorite comment that you've seen? Can you think of it, what it would be? Or
so hate the funniest ones are when I'm told as a fact that I'm trying to copy Ginger and Spirit Box. I always get, when we uploaded a live session recently, and it was, this is just a Pisces live session ripoff. And I was like, I replied, I was like, no, because like the songs couldn't be more different. I think Pisces is quite a I know it has like a brutal part, but it's quite a chilled song, I think. It's
in the verses,
I think this was like on one of our heaviest songs where I just scream the whole thing, and it's just like, come on, like, you don't have to be into metal to know that those songs are incredibly different. So they're my favorite, because it's just pure
just a bit lazy, aren't they, really? You know that they've not really put any thought into
just come up with something more interesting. Like, I've been told a million times now that I'm trying to copy people that I don't listen to, so just come up with something else. Come on.
We so we get a lot of we're another one of the kind of female fronted metal as kind of brand. And the funny one is we always just get like, from anyone that's not really into metal, let's go, oh, you kind of like Paramore. And like, what? Like, what?
Why is that the standard?
I don't know. The other one,
your Paramore, but a bit heavier.
Yeah, basically. And to be honest, I was kind of like, yeah. But I think the thing is, it's because it's Katie the singer, and then three of us guys in the rest of the band, and like, it kind of sucks for us as the three guys as well, because we're like, well, we don't, we're just getting bundled in with any other band that's fronted by a woman now.
Like, exactly.
My favorite band's Alter Bridge. Like, I don't, I don't kind of care about. I mean, I do. Sorry, I like Ginger and Spirit Box and all of them, but like,
no, but I think it's fair enough to say that, like, how do I say this? I admire them as musicians, and I really do enjoy Spirit Box. But I never listen to Ginger. They're not my cup of tea. Doesn't mean I don't respect them, but it also, I think if you have a girl in your band, people are like, so you listen to every single other band out there that has a girl in it. It's like, no, like, there are men in this band as well. They have their own influences that may or may not happen to have girls in them. Like, it's just stupid. Like, the whole logic behind it is stupid.
I think the only time I kind of get it is in the sense that if it's approached from the place of, I guess it's less common that there are women in metal, especially traditionally. Sometimes if it comes from just a place of like, I don't want to say ignorance, that implies like yeah, but if it comes from a place of just a well-intentioned place, I don't care. And obviously I'm not a woman, so I'm not really, it's not really affecting me a great deal. But like, but I think the ones I find it's actually when we get compared to like Alter Bridge or something, that's when I'm like, oh, okay, I think you've actually listened to the content of the music, not just like.
And I love it when that happens. It's the best thing. That must be so nice for you. You're like, yay, like, you heard me.
Yeah, it's just more like you've heard the vibe of the song, and rather than looking at the band, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Which I think is kind of important.
Somebody said, I can't remember what song it was, but it was ages ago, some point last year. Someone was like, I really, really love her vocals. It reminds me of a early Slipknot, like Corey Taylor, Rapid Fire. And I was like, oh my God, like I could cry with happiness because somebody is like comparing my vocals in a positive way to somebody that isn't a female. And like, that's no hate to female vocalists. I am one, but like, it's just so stupid to only put me in that category where it's like, you can only be compared to other women and the boys can only be compared to other men. Like, it's just so stupid. That did make my day. That really made me smile.
It's had an interesting chat with Debbie from Harriet about similar kind of. I don't know. Do you know Harriet? Have you heard?
Yes, they've got big hype around them.
Yeah, they have at the moment. Yeah. So I had a chat with, and she had a really interesting perspective on all of this kind of stuff as well. So check that out when that goes out. That was a few. It's just all a little way in advance at the moment, but I'll let you know anyway. But she has an interesting take on it. But you mentioned Corey Taylor actually. Is he a particular inspiration, or because I know for me, I find his lyrics really interesting, and obviously, I mean, vocally he's just great. But
I'll be honest, not anymore. Like,
yeah.
My vocal inspirations now are completely different. But like, what got me into wanting to be a vocalist was definitely him. Like, all his like stuff on Iowa and earlier albums, like just the really fast, sporadic, sounding like he's gonna have an asthma attack kind of vocals. I was like, that is what I want to do. And that's what I always wanted to do, but I got pulled into doing the lighter stuff, which hurt my soul. But yeah, he's definitely been an inspiration from the beginning. Not so much now. Don't get me wrong, I love Slipknot, but he was there at the beginning for sure.
I funny story. So I met Corey at the Stone Sour gig. I thought I'll do that because I Slipknot were a big turning point for me in terms of getting into metal, and I thought I'll do the meet and greet thing. It was a bit overpriced, I'll be honest, Corey, but
they always are.
Yeah, and it was for a very short period of time. But I was like, I thought it would be cool. So I met Corey and then the guys in Stone Sour, and I went to this. I don't know if you ever saw it pop up. Corey Taylor did a solo acoustic gig in Camden, and I went to that. Was like one of the first few gigs I went to.
Oh wow!
And it was really cool. It was sold out. I literally had to go on resale and pay like stupid amounts of money for a ticket, only for my dad to find one in London for like 30 quid.
No,
like, he just found it in like a shop in London somewhere. That's a ticket, like a ticket resale. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, this is quite funny. But I remember what was quite funny was I spoke to Corey very briefly, and I kind of, basically so I ended up dropping out of uni to go and pursue music.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I want to say that to him. Like, I want to say like a thank you, I guess, for inspiring that. But I don't think I actually mentioned that, like, I think I just mentioned that I dropped out. I look back on it, I was like, did I actually say that I went to go and do music? Or did I just say that I just dropped out of uni and... Yeah, so you inspired me to drop out of uni. Cheers, Corey. I can't remember if I walked out. I was like, what did I say? Because I was like, I couldn't remember, and I still can't remember. And I don't think he'd remember, which is great.
Yeah, it'll probably make you feel better. Like,
yeah,
he
I hope
may
he
not.
doesn't. Yeah, hopefully he doesn't.
May not. It's weird though when you meet people like that.
Yeah,
you just don't. My brain switches off. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm just going to embarrass myself. I best not say anything.
Yeah, well, like Mark Tremonti's my like guitar hero, and he does like guitar lessons before his shows.
Oh,
So it's
cool.
not cheap, but like I guess if you made it cheap, like there'd be 100 people there, you know.
Yeah.
And I was sat right next to him for the first one. There were about 10 people, but I was sat there just looking like, what's going on? And it was an actual guitar lesson. Credit to him. It wasn't just like he wasn't lazy about it, you know.
Like if he's your hero, like how do you even start playing in front of him? Like if I like met up with one of my vocal heroes and they were like this, like giving me a lesson in how they do their screams, I don't think I'd be able to scream. I'd just be like, cool, thanks for the advice, see you later.
I don't know. I don't think I don't know. It was a weird one. Like on the one hand, I get what you're saying, and then on the other hand, there was another one where I did 2 of these, and I did one in Nottingham. There's only 3 people there because I think it was like the second run of a tour in the UK.
Oh, right,
and Nottingham's obviously not as big a city, so there's only 3 people. He brings you up on stage and shows you around, and then he has this signature guitar, not a signature, but he has like a 1 of 2 guitar, and he owns both of them, and it's just like my absolute dream guitar. And I was just like, can I have a go? And his security went, oh, we got to go. But Mark was like, no, it's cool, and gave it to me. And then the strap was all tangled. I was like, don't drop the guitar the whole time. And then I couldn't bring myself. I was thinking, I've got some cool riffs I could play. And maybe go, whoa, that was cool. But I think I just stumbled. I just went, chug, chug, chug. Yeah, cool, cheers.
Well, at least you can say you've played it now.
Yeah, I know. I'm one of very few people to have played that. Probably double figures, if that. So, you know.
That's pretty sick.
Pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. So I think I do. Thing is, I'd love to have that guitar, but then I just feel like him, especially as I write quite similarly.
Yes.
In some ways, so I feel like I can't really.
No, you need to have your own signature.
Yeah, I don't like signature gear. Like for me, I like to have my own.
Yeah.
Sound.
No, I agree.
That's the one thing as a vocalist you miss out on. In some ways, the all the gear nerding.
I know, it's so boring. Like
a mic and an in-ear.
Yeah, and that's about it. But
yeah,
everyone has them. It's not anything particularly special. So yeah.
Yeah. Well. On that disappointing note.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So I'm gonna, rather than take up your entire evening, I'll get you to ask a question for the next person.
Okay.
I won't tell you who they are as well, because I like to try and keep it that way. You're not influenced by. And actually, I'd have to look at my calendar anyway. So I'm pretty sure I know who the next person is. I think it's tomorrow. God.
Right.
Put you on the spot a bit. It can be absolutely anything you like. It can be. You can totally screw me over. Actually, speaking of Debbie, her question for Omer Deutsch, he's a luthier in Israel, who I'd never met before. Her question for him was, have you ever peed in the pool? But he met that with Grace and just said, yeah, loads of times. So
oh my God, I could really, really be horrible, but I won't. Like
whatever you want, I'll ask it.
It's tempting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right then. Have you ever shat yourself on stage?
I'm really going to hope the answer is no, but at least it's an icebreaker.
I mean, this is a conversation we have on tour a lot.
Yeah. So actually, I'm gonna have a quick look at the who is it? Yeah. So I know who I've got. Okay. So I suspect the answer is no.
You never know, though.
It's actually largely because he's a drummer, and I just think like, okay, well, I'm gonna assume, but we'll find out.
Yeah,
either way, you've broken the ice rather breakingly.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I'm just a messenger at that point. So if he doesn't like it, he can message you.
Yeah, he can. Like, we've had some close calls on tour. Not gonna lie, very close calls. So
Excellent.
I'm sure he'll have some stories to share.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, I think luckily I don't think any of us have come too close, but yeah. I've always had the ones where I know it's that feeling when you get on stage and you're like half a song in, like, I really need a wee.
Yeah, and
it's like bad. we're not like some 3-hour with an intermission in the middle band, like Guns N' Roses or something,
No, I like when we were on tour. Obviously, you have to sound check. Well, you sleep in really late, then you wake up, you go sound check, you do some press, and then it's like, right, quickly eat and then perform.
Yeah, and
like our windows between eating and performing got stupid. Like it was like we'd have a full huge like meal, we'd like go have a whole pizza or I don't know, Chinese or something, and then be on in half an hour, and it was like do not ever do that again, ever.
Yeah, I feel like you got it, especially as a vocalist. That's not setting you up.
Oh
for
my God,
success.
yeah. The amount of headbangs I had to stop doing because I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be sick. No, I'm gonna be
Oh,
sick.
crisis averted.
Yeah.
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 So yeah,
Brilliant. Okay.
TMI. I apologize to anyone
No,
listening to this.
It's all right. It's just MI. It's just much information. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you could recommend an artist that you'd like to give a well-deserved plug to.
Let me have a look on my phone who I've been listening to.
It can be a totally unheard artist. It can be someone quite big who's just doing a cool thing.
Well, I've been listening to a lot of Light's new album.
Light.
Do you know Lights?
Oh, Lights.
Yeah.
So Lights' new album.
Lights' new album, yeah.
Okay.
Called Pep, and that's really good. It's like EDM kind of rock.
Cool.
Pop. It's very cool. Yeah. So
Okay, cool.
go listen to some Lights. She's cool.
Give them a shout. The cool thing is, I'm yet to have anyone recommend an artist that I actually know.
Oh, really?
But it's quite cool because it means that it means people are having, everyone's got little either undiscovered or like lesser known artists, or maybe I just don't listen to enough music. So it means that like people are presenting cool.
Yeah, you're not just got Metallica.
Yeah, check out Metallica. They're
Yeah.
doing all right. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Well, thank you for that. I enjoyed chatting, and it's nice to get into all number of things, from superpowers to all sorts. I still think you can change your mind on that, but you know.
Oh God, I feel bad for you. I mean, if you can't bring yourself to ask him if he.
Oh no, sorry, I meant on your superpowers.
Oh God, I thought you meant the shitting yourself on stage.
No, I'll ask him. That's all good.
Oh my God, you're such a trooper. That's. I also. I need to listen to what he says. I don't know who this is, but I need to hear what he says.
Yeah.
But yeah, superpower. I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I should have said that. Yeah, I'd be the most boring superhero ever.
Write a song about it. About being a boring superhero. Cool.
Mediocre Meg. That's my name.
I'm sure I could make some meaningful statement about how we're all superheroes in our own right, but we're not. Some of us are shit.
Yeah. Me.
No. Cool. Well,
thank you
very
so
much.
much.
On that note, I'll cool. Thank you very much. And any last plugs or things you want to?
We've got a show coming up. We are playing with Spirit Box in London in June. It is a bit all right. Yeah. Very exciting. Probably might shit myself on stage. So if you want to see
there you
that.
go. If I put this out a bit later, it might be out of date.
Exactly. Yeah. No, so we got that, and just keep your eyes peeled for album 2 updates.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Cool. Awesome.